Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining me here again. If you're new here, take out the again. Thank you for joining me. I do ramble a lot, so if you're here to look at interesting stuff, you're probably going to have to bounce around in the video a little bit just because words tend to just continue to fall out of my mouth and I have no way of stopping them. So feel free to bounce around. I will not be offended. If you do like what you see, though, please leave a comment. Let me know what you liked. If there's something you don't like, let me know so I can, improve, obviously. If you like it enough, please subscribe. It does help me kind of get my videos out there in the open. I don't make money doing this, but I do want more people playing this game to see this stuff because I like seeing their stuff and I like sharing my stuff with them and all that good stuff. So, all that YouTube jazz out of the way, today's video is going to be a focus on my wife's library that she made earlier when we started playing. It was one of the first builds she did herself, and I just helped a little bit. So I wanted to show that off, mostly because I'm proud of her, but also because there's some things that we did in the build that you guys might find interesting or helpful or useful in some other fashion. So again, if you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, all that good hoo-ha. I'm going to go ahead and hop over there to them, or to the library, and get this shown off to you guys. I'm going to try to make this quick. I've recorded this once already, and it took way too long. So let's try to make this quick. Alright, so here it is in its grand glory. He must have been on there when it was growing and then has been stuck up there the entire time this bamboo has been growing. That is crazy. Poor guy. He's stuck there forever now. Anyway, here is our library / observatory. Again, I'm trying to make this quick. I've did this once. This is new for y'all, but I'm fed up. Excuse me. Just flying around the outside here so y'all can take a look at it. Feel free to pause and take note. And the roof. I hate it. Not a big fan of it. I wish I'd done this differently. I highly recommend you get like a VS roofing mod or something to make this easier, because with the 45-degree in-game roofing assets, you're limited by how tall a roof can be and look a certain way. And if you're going to chisel yourself a custom roof, there goes your weekend. So the VS roofing mod, or the fuck it's called, One Roof maybe, I'm sure there's multiple. Get one of them, okay? It'll save you so much time. Your roofs will be so much more interesting. But I ultimately decided on multiple gables, meeting into kind of a shared flat space separated by a ridge from one of the gables. And on either side on that flat space is a skylight that is just full of nonsense. I could have chiseled something interesting, but I just made it look like it's ornate bullshit, kind of like a cow tool logic. You know, if you squint hard enough at it, it can kind of look like something. So that is just replicated on both sides, just so there's something on the roof and it's not flat, boring space, which kind of helps me on the inside, which I'll talk about here in a minute. Outside, another quick lesson about windows and shit. If you're going to do stained glass windows, whatever wall you're doing it on, do not expect to have a room on the other side of that wall. Go ahead and make this window 1 voxel thick. I'm telling you, it is the only way to avoid parallax. This one's a little thinner than these ones, but you can quite clearly see what the problem is, because I had to chisel on both sides, because for some reason I was trying to make the inside of this a room, even though it was definitely not going to be. I committed to the bit anyway, and I'm too lazy to go back and change it, even though I should have. So both of these windows are chiseled like this was going to be a room. I did make this one thinner, but I was also very lazy and didn't want to go all the way through, and I should have. This parallax is annoying. The fact that I can see 2 suns, 2 trees, 2 moons, that bothers me. Now, from way back here, they look great. Especially at night, they look phenomenal. Getting up close to them pisses me the fuck off. So the trick for stained glass windows, make them thin, 1 voxel or something, okay? And then for because the way stained glass was made is it was a colored, transparent piece of material. I don't think it was even always glass per se. But then it was soldered next to other pieces with lead. That lead solder was melted, and then it cooled, and it stuck the panes together. So mine's a little bit wrong here, because it would be individual panes making up this one moon. It would all just be yellow glass. But I have a pane that is the moon, and some pieces are done like that. Like on certain scales, like you can have a bug stained glass window, and like its wing might be 1 pane of glass, and it's soldered around the whole outside. That's doable. But for the size of my moon here, you'd have multiple panes making up that moon, maybe all different shades of yellow. And they would all be soldered together with solder around the whole moon, separating it from, obviously, the other colored pieces of glass. So the trick to do a stained glass window, make it thin, and every color pane, air quotes, that you're going to have, separate with some kind of dark block. I use black bronze here. You could actually use a lead, but you could also just use any dark block that is easily available to you just to separate the colors. Depending on your scale, you may be able to go as simple as separating it by color. I have the yellow moon separated from everything else. Even on Jupiter, I have the orange and the white separated from themselves. The tree, the leaves are green, the trunk is orange brown or whatever, and then both of those things are treated like separate assets framed by, air quotes, lead solder, which is just a black bronze voxel in here. But let that be your lesson, because I am not very happy with these at all. But, you know, the message is there, the point gets across. There's just obviously things I would have done differently and done better. Again, using ebony for the framing. I have simpler windows around everywhere else that on the outside I have them chiseled kind of chunky. On the inside they're chiseled a bit finer. So the outside has a lower resolution. The inside has a higher resolution. And my thinking behind that is from out here, I am not going to be up close to many of these windows, so I don't need to see all the detail. But when you're on the inside of the building, you're going to be up, possibly right up next to that window. So you're going to see the details. So spending a little bit more time on the inside made more sense than spending a lot of time on the outside. Little patio on this side just as, I guess, a reading or eating nook underneath these awnings. Again, I've said before, having the same awning or the same style of awning and the same type of chair, same faucet, same brick, you know, same things or materials or approaches to problems appearing in different places makes the builds feel more coherent. It makes it feel less like these builds are isolated art pieces that just exist in proximity to each other, and it makes it more like these builds are all done by the same people in the same culture, partaking in the same region, with a shared history and a shared future. And I feel like for most situations that helps a build feel more grounded and real, especially in proximity to other builds. So like the benches are replicated, the ashtray is replicated, this railing is used in more than just here. You can see even on the terrace I have the wrought iron fence going around it to hold back the foliage. I don't know if that was ever done, but it looked nice, and so I did it. I like the color of this wood. I wish there was more dark wood in the fucking game. This is like, looks like some kind of mahogany or something, but this table asset is only achievable from creative or mods, so we used it because we love the way it looks. And we got the chess pieces and stuff sitting on there. I think this is an omic table. Really not sure what that's called, how it's pronounced. Underneath the awning that my wife chiseled, she did really good. It's a little thick, but maybe you want it to be tough so it can handle all the snow falling on it. Benches running across, chert fan cobblestone floor for the patio, which is the same on this little side patio. And this little side patio where we have a sleeping elk. And then a book return box next to a air vent. That is all that is, surely. My pattern-seeking brain would never lie to me. But then, yeah, brick on the outside. The black brick and the gray brick go really good together. And in the same vein, I think the ashen daub and the blue daub work really well together. Again, you can see here I'm doing... Well, my wife kind of replicated the trick I do where I'll do the daub and then, like, as a wall, and then add a brick block to it and chisel that brick in to make it look like perhaps the daub is not a daub in the wattle and daub sense, but more like a plaster or something that is going over top of the brick of the actual structure. And then now after some weathering, that plaster has broken off, and now the underlying brick structure is exposed. And that's kind of what you see going on through here. I do have some ashen and blue daub mixed. Really, you would chisel that to make it more of a gradient, so it kind of looked like it was lighter towards the top and darker towards the bottom, versus these sharp right lines of like the individual blocks. But we're a little lazy, and except for this video, like, we're the only ones seeing this build, you know. So we did it what was good enough. Obviously, you could be as autistic with it as you really wanted, as your heart desires. Another little trick outside is excuse me, these trees on the side. Excuse me again, I'm losing my voice, I do apologize. There's a planter with a sapling thrown into it, and then we just have those leaves. We have to use creative. If you have mods, you can get them some other way. I can't believe the shears don't get you leaves in this fucking game. Fix your game, Nikita. But stacking those leaves on top of the sapling sprite as it comes out of the planter is a cool way to make the tree look taller while still being skinny. So I think this was a nice way to frame up each side of the doorway. And then the doorway, we could have put a sign that just said library. I could have chiseled the word library across the top of it. But we kind of had this motif going. Again, cultural focal points of these squarish, rounded signs that are heavily colored. And I like to get lost in making them because to me it's a lot like pixel art. And so I made this one be an open book with a rainbow coming out of it. Kind of reminds me of the Reading Rainbow theme. A little tongue-in-cheek. I do meta humor and stuff like that, but I really didn't know what else to do for it other than to do this. So I did this. But as you can see, this is on odds. Yes. This is odd. I believe this is odd. Yes, odd. That was looking weird to me down there. And then I couldn't put a doorway because there's no, this is 3 blocks. There's no 3 block wide and also 3 block tall door. I want a 3 block wide, 2 or 3 block tall door that is one door, but it opens in the middle block. Like it takes up the whole thing, but the opening, like it opens together like 2 double doors next to each other, but it's 2 double doors that take up 3. So 2 1.5 doors occupying a 3 block space. You know what I mean? Give me that. Give me it. Vintage story, and my life is yours. Anyway, we now come inside, giggity, and I really don't know where to begin, but this is what we want to replace with. I've thought about replacing with the cabinets since they've been added, because we did these creative books because look at the color. Look at the variety to it. You just couldn't get that with using the in-game bookshelves presented to you as craftable, and then also just taking the books and putting on there. You would not be able to get these assets. So we use creative for the variety, for the eye candy. But now that we have cabinets available, we could put the different books and stuff on it, but then also put a candle on it. Also put a quill and ink on it. We could also put a scroll on it. I could chisel different things to go on it. So now that we have that endless possibility, we might replace all these with cabinets. But for now, they are the creative asset bookshelves. So that's a little, I don't know. I would rather these be achievable in survival some way, but I digress. Cabinets underneath, just to kind of support the bookshelves, and just so also it wasn't bookshelves all the way down. We have this cabinet right here in particular, and it's replicated in a couple different spots. Looks like a filing cabinet. You just pull the drawer out, and then there's like documents or folders or something hanging in there. But what tickles me about this is that apparently drawers weren't invented till like the 1200s, because we were tired of having to take everything out of the trunk to get to whatever we put in the bottom of it. And so someone's like, well, what if you just cut a hole in the side of the trunk and then had something you draw out of the side of the trunk to get access to those things, and then put a floor above that to keep stuff over that. And that's how we turned trunks into drawers. We were making ships and studying the stars and making onagers and ballistas and trebuchets and chariots before we invented a drawer. That is weird as fuck to me. Like, maybe I'm wrong, but I could have swore that's the story. If you know the story and that's not it, correct me down in the comments. I would love to be corrected on that and know the real lore behind the drawer, so to speak. But the first floor is almost entirely bookshelves. Same thing as the second floor. The second floor really is just a copy of the first floor, but with a cut out opening in the middle so that you can see all the way up to the ceiling, even from the first floor. So this open space was filled with bookshelves, but because of the way these bookshelves work, go ahead and show you real quick. So, I mean, everybody knows. It's like Minecraft, you know, it's a block. Except these are 3/4 or a half a block. So when you put them back to back, it makes almost what looks like a whole block. But it's technically 2. Now, these guys sitting out in the open like that, it looked like there was just a stack of bookshelves put together. Like bookshelves in a trench coat. You don't want that look. You want your bookshelf to look like it's a large, coherent bookshelf. So to achieve that, I had to frame them up. So on each side, because this is 2 blocks, I had to chisel this side, and then had to chisel this side. And if that wasn't bad enough, up above we have the catwalk or walkway or whatever, like, you know, that the second floor. That has to be supported in some way. So I needed support. So I didn't want them out here in the middle of the fucking walkway. So I had to chisel them as part of the same block as this frame. And so this was a bitch, chiseling it all the way up. I fucking hated every second of it. However, I do love the way that looks. The column going up, the different color with the bottom, the ebony in the middle, and then the bronze or black bronze framing, and the tying of it into the floor. I just like the way that looks. That looks really fucking good in my opinion. And of course, I just replicated on this side, and it gave us this kind of beam structure going across, which I think really serves no purpose. Maybe you can imply that it's structural for the second floor, but it mostly serves as a way for these to be arches to walk under, to copy this side of arches as you walk down the bookshelf aisle, which is what these runners are helping you do as well. Really like these carpets. I hate that we used the creative colored blocks for the carpets, but we had to. There's no other block in the game that is this saturated with this color. Now, give me green, red, blue, like give me all the different colored wools. Give me wool blocks. Give me linen blocks. Give me concrete, okay? Give me ceramic in different colors. Give me color. I love the realistic, unsaturated look in general of vintage storing, but sometimes you need vibrancy. You need it, okay? And like there's no texture to this. It's just a flat red color. That looks good for a carpet, especially since you can't make custom carpets. Chiseling the top of this floor block to look like a carpet was the best we could do. And I like this color combination. I like how this is a rug, and this runner looks like it's from the same set, and this looks like it's from the same set, and this is part of the same set, and this looks the same. Like it's a set of rugs that we got and put in here, versus just throwing down a bunch of little square rugs to make it look like there's fucking carpets in here or what have you. The game is limiting in some ways, I will admit, but I do think it creates a lot of opportunity for problem solving, and that's where a lot of people's creativity shines. Working within and throughout and around the mechanical limitations of your medium. And our medium is this game for what we're talking about, and it has limitations. Working around those is part of the experience. Also didn't know what to do with this wall over here around this doorway. Didn't want to just beam it up, Scotty. So I put the archway garden thing canopy from the wedding venue and put it over here in front of the door, and then put candles above it, I think, and then framed it with the trees. I think that looks good. We have usable ebony scroll racks in the old age scroll rack thing here, just so they're usable, and also so there's variety with the older scroll racks that are just creative assets. Wanted to put some kind of roof or something on these bookshelves because the top of them did not match at all. Again, you did not want this to look like 9 bookshelves in a trench coat. You want it to look like one bookshelf, and so I think this accomplishes that pretty well. Down here in this little passion pit is a little study nook where you can find the brains being examined through this magnifying glass of the United States government, where you can see my map up on the wall. This is us in the middle. This is our coastal dock in the north, and our western dock, which we've not been working on at all. The west has fallen, or whatever the kids are saying these days. Chiseled table, a little chiseled end table with a globe sitting on top, and then my cartography desk that my wife has extendo-cedo-cuzzed to make room for all the decorations. And then also this little nook is like chiseled into the floor. I thought that was neat to give us a little space for this guy to like do whatever monks do, write books and drink beer. Little seat to sit in, little lounge chair. Maybe you're gonna sit here and read a book. I've chiseled a little oak framing thing that maybe if you squint at it looks like a hand cart or some other kind of trolley. I just have these spaced around the estate just to make it look like we're hauling material versus just having a pile sitting in the middle of nowhere. And so we moved it inside here and put books on it. Now it looks like you're moving the books to go put them on a bookshelf or something, you know? That's really about it for downstairs. I mean, like, feel free to pause and look at anything. If there's something here that I'm not showing enough attention to and you have an interest in it, let me know. Like, I am 100,000% willing to make a video, like, 18 minutes long focusing just on this fucking desk. I'll do it. Don't fucking threaten me. I'll goddamn do it. So, if there's something you want to see in more detail, just let me know. I'm very obliging. Yeah, that's really about it for up here. And then we come to the spiral staircase, which wraps around this column, which takes us up to the next floor and also to the observatory. And then there's clutter back through here just for storage and decoration. And then this is my wife's secret hole. No. Okay, we're going to keep that in, but she is going to make me sleep on the couch tonight. I'm not going to show you my wife's secret hole. I will, just not right now. We're going to go up to the second floor. We got done with her downstairs. Now we're going to do her upstairs. Giggity. It's basically the same thing. Just no study nook. You do have the stained glass windows, which look really good, except for that one with the parallax on the sides. But the middle one looks really good from over here. But if you walk up to them, oh my god, they are all horrible. I hate standing right here and looking at them. It pisses me the fuck off. Like I said, take that lesson. Make the window 1 voxel thick, okay? Or thin, however you want to look at it. That makes this so much easier for you to do, and it'll look like 1,000 times nicer, I promise. Take it from me. Over here we just have a little table for the resonator to sit on with the, what do they call it, tuning cylinders. Again, the windows you can see here, higher resolution on the framing on the inside than what is done on the outside. Filing cabinet again, hand truck with some books in it. And then I like this banister, or railing. Yeah, this is just a railing, not a banister. I like the railing. Giggity. Really wanted to use a combination of all the stuff in here. So we have the black bronze, we have the pine wood, and we have the, I think that's debarked oak for the base. Really good look. Here's the trees, planters on the trees without the leaf blocks stacked on top of them, so you can kind of see the difference. The ones outside are taller, obviously. I think they just look better in some scenarios. They're a nice way to make it look different. They're not always better, of course. The ceiling, as you can see, there is a lot of dead air, but effective pawn hub, red pawn dynamics. You don't like dead air, dead space in your ceilings. You're right, random citizen. I don't. However, because they're skylights, I feel like this isn't really dead air. I feel like this empty space is allowing us allowing us an unobstructed view of the skylight, which again, I've chiseled just absolute nonsense on there. Maybe you suppose some of that is religious. Maybe some of it is, just mathematical. Maybe it's nothing to you. But if you squint hard enough, I'm sure some things look like things. But the skylights are there, so I couldn't have a bunch of beams and posts and ropes crisscrossing the ceiling. You wouldn't be able to look at the fucking skylight. So although there's a lot of empty space up here, I feel like this atrium look works for this building. This is not the same thing as a warehouse having unused space, or a bar not having enough clutter, or a tower not having enough structural support on the inside. This was built so that there would be open space, so that you could see the skylight. And I did try to fight it a little bit by having the actual ceiling around it and the walls leading up to it be interesting and structural looking, and also having these chandeliers hanging at various intervals. So I did try to fight the dead air, but I think with how vibrant the walls and stuff are, with how much stuff is going on, there's really not, although there's air, I can't call it dead. It's not as full and occupied as the air usually is in my builds. But I think this works. I think it works. Let me know if you guys have a different opinion on it. Do you think I should do something different? I am pretty lazy. I probably won't go back through and change this, but maybe the next thing that I do, I will take your advice and, approach it differently. Again, I love to learn. I love to grow. So although you're here to check out this build and maybe get inspiration or something, feel free to drop some elite ball knowledge on me, big dog. Little bro here would love to, get some knowledge. That's it. Yeah, this is really it for the second floor. I mean, it's basically the same thing as the first floor. We've already talked about it with the cabinets and stuff. Just do what looks best to your eye for colors. Again, I can talk about color combinations, with the light brick and the dark brick and the ebony wood with the oak and the pine. I'm colorblind, so to me, contrast spark to me a lot more than other things. Other people have different approaches to how they handle color theory and things. So whatever you think looks good in combination, do it. Now, there's not a lot of videos out there talking about vintage story gradients or color palettes, but you can find a house out in the real world oh, that green and brown looks really good, and then you can use green daub and claystone in the game. You know what I mean? You can adapt real life things to this and use those color palettes, or you can just be whimsical and just make all kinds of bright colors go together however the fuck you want. It doesn't have to follow any kind of true color theory. Just do what you fucking want, man. It's a game. Just make sure it looks good when you're done. And then we'll just keep going up the spiral staircase, which I have mixed feelings about spiral staircases. I feel like this game, one, has a huge advantage because of chiseling. You can make them a lot smoother. But also, because of the chiseling, I feel like because there's that, like, you can see the opportunity to do more with the chiseling. There's a gap when you don't do more. So, like, if I just did this like Minecraft and just had half slabs all the way up, which is really what these are if you look at the underneath, they're just half slabs going all the way up. But I've chiseled them, so that way it's a easier gradient. It's basically just a slope, but it looks like it's a spiral staircase. But if you just took half slabs all the way up, or stairs all the way up, just circling around, like the stair blocks, just circling around the central column, I don't think it would look as good. Like, we know we can do more, so we're almost expected to do more. And I could have did way better with this, made this way rounder, but I didn't want to. I did not want to do it. And there comes a point where, because this game is cube-based, when you try to make things round at certain scales, like as small as this spiral is, a lot of the rounding can come across as noise or straight up diagonal and not so much as round. So I think what I did here was a nice compromise. I say that a lot. But here's some actual bookshelves that you can make and then put books on, not the creative assets. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, the colors are very dull, there's not a lot of variety to them. And with the bookshelves, you can only put books on them. And there was no glass doors or anything to have on them. So with the new cabinets, I am heavily considering redoing that entire thing down there. But you come up here, you actually see where I did put a cabinet just to see what it would be like. And this is kind of like a little landing zone workstation for the observatory, because when I was building the observatory, I didn't really think about getting up into the spot where the excuse me, telescope, couldn't think of it, would be. So I had to stick this in here real quick to give us a spot to stop, and then access to get up, which this is all very clustered. Take it from me, plan out your builds a little bit more. There's a good thing to be said about clutter. There's a good thing to be said for some claustrophobia in certain aspects of builds. But if you do it in such a way that it makes it hard to navigate, I feel like you've kind of lost the plot. I would definitely prefer easier navigation over too much clutter or too much claustrophobia. Like, don't get me wrong, I love clutter. I love claustrophobia. But there's a line to be drawn. And unfortunately, with this space up here, I kind of fucked myself into a corner. This is not so bad, but I needed to have something that looked like it rotated what's up here. And so I have iron blocks that I chiseled down and then took creative gear pieces and put on there. And I feel like that makes this look much more mechanical. And if I was to try to chisel a gear at this scale using the chisel tool, I don't think it would come across as a gear or other mechanical apparatus. So I feel like this is where having access to modded assets or the creative assets really can enhance a build, because although the resolution, like I've been talking about, of these assets is different than what you can chisel, sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need to clearly be able to say, like, hey, this is a gear, just so you can imply to the person, like, this moves, because otherwise it might not say that to them. But having the gears on there, to me, sells this as movable. I do have a chiseled computer over here, which I've showed off in the house tour before, just because we have, you know, Jonas Falk's temporal gear, Tobias technology stuff going on. It's a little bit more advanced, a little tongue-in-cheek. I wanted a computer, so I put it here. And then we have a telescope, well, a small telescope, and then a tiny telescope. And then up here is the big telescope, which, again, more gears to make it seem like it's mechanical and does stuff, other creative assets to make it all seem very complex and above your pay grade. And then right here is a display output. I felt like that would be cooler than having just a little voxel coming out the back that is supposed to be implied to be like an eye hole or something, an eye socket, whatever the place that you look through on a magnifying glass or a telescope. I don't know what you'd call that. I keep calling it an eye hole. Peephole? I'm going to have to look that up after I make this video now. But over here is a picture of Mars or something on the screen. And then if you come around this whole thing, which kind of looks like a dick now that I'm looking at it. Everything looks like a dick. Freud was right. You can see the image is actually on the telescope lens, and then it's displayed back here too. I just thought that was a neat little thing, but you would never see this from being down here if I did not come out here and show you on this video just now. So here we are. I like the way this turned out. It is a little cluttered, it is a little claustrophobic, but I'm happy with it, and that's what matters. Your opinion is not. I'm kidding. If you have any feedback or anything, please let me know down in the comments. But we're going to work our way back down the top floor, down to the downstairs, and then, we're just going to pay a visit to my wife's hole. Giggity. Ah, there's somebody in there! Baby, you've got some splaining to do, Lucy. I'm not, we need to go see couples therapists about that shit. Anyway, she's a big fan of, like, dark and spooky, witchy shit. Love her to death. So she likes having secret doors all over the place to hide things. She's got a secret tunnel, I think, nearby every build we've done, and a lot of her builds have secret rooms. So, like, we've got a dungeon somewhere else in the estate, too, that I have to go do a tour on. But I like the way she did this space down here. You got the ebony mixed with the aged ebony, with the very aged wood, with the regular aged wood, and I think it makes a fairly nice gradient. The bookshelves go all the way up to the roof, or not the roof, but the floor, which is the ceiling here. Makes it look structural. I like having the scroll racks built into the wall. I like the dim lighting. I wish you could make the lighting dimmer without risking even more spawns happening, but you can see even with as very little light as down here, we're still getting drifter spawns. But this is just it's just a space she wanted to make, and that's all it really needs to be. Like I said, if you're doing this on your world, you could make a library with a secret hole, and you could store whatever you wanted in it. Giggity, it's your prison wallet. Use it when you need it. But, like, we don't really use this building for anything. It's just you wanted a nice space, you wanted to have a place for all the books, and when we keep collecting books and we have nowhere to put on the bookshelf in the house, guess where all those books can go? To this library. So it does serve some kind of purpose. But the main focus of it is that my wife made it, and she's happy with it, and she likes it, and she enjoys it, and I enjoy that. And I thought it was really cool, and it looks really artistic, and it's really pretty, and that's like its main thing, is it's to look pretty, which is kind of different from a lot of the other things that I show off and do and talk about. So there's that. I really don't think I have anything else on it to show off. We've been over the awning. I've talked about the trees. You've seen the mailbox on the side, the stained glass window, how much I hate the fucking roof. You saw the skylight and how that interacts with the dead air and how that competes with my idea for needing to clutter everything. And then we've also talked about how clutter can lead to claustrophobia and poor navigation. Things don't have to serve a purpose. Sometimes their purpose is just to be there. Especially in a game like this where you need places of interest and pretty things in the background of your world to make it feel, lived in and occupied and not so lonely. And it does help to have friends to play with and stuff, to make things and show these things off, which is one of the reasons why I make these videos and why me and my wife continue to build and put so much time into the buildings that we build, because we love showing it off to you guys. So if you have seen anything in here that you just think is really awesome, please let her know down in the comments. She would be absolutely blitzed to see all you guys, loving her work. If there's anything you see that you want a tutorial on or me to go in more depth over, again, I'm very obliging. Let me know. I will focus on literally anything. It is my autistic superpower. Just give me something to focus on. I will focus on it. I will do that for you. I'll make a video on it. If there's something in the background of this video or the other videos that you want me to go over in more detail, again, very happy to do it. And as we're wrapping up our typical Midwestern goodbye here, just feel free to take a pause at literally any point for any reason to take in any of this. Yeah, I wish I could stop flying. There we go. Yeah, that's really it, man. I thank you guys so much for paying attention to these videos, showing me and my wife all the love, giving us the feedback and the countless suggestions for stuff to build. I know everybody thinks that, like, we just have so many ideas and everything, and we do. We do have a lot of ideas to build, but if there's anything that you want to see us build, let us know. We'll be happy to do it. It's like it's variety to what we would think of, like the Salt Graduation Tower or the Fishing Shack. I probably wouldn't have made those things if you fine people didn't suggest them. So if any of you other fine people have suggestions, let me know, and I'll get to work on it. Gives me something to do. Anyways, I love every single one of you. You're very appreciated. This is a nice community, both on YouTube and just Vintage Story in general. And if you don't really interact with the community at large, pay a visit to the Reddit and the Discord and talk to those cool people and look at the cool stuff they're making. There's a lot more talented people out there besides me. But if you like the way I ramble, please like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. I will see you guys next time. please stay alive and stay happy.